Oh, I fucking hate superhero movies. I'm so done. It's been like 12 years of superheroes every fucking year, and it's showing no sign of stopping. I hate you people. Stop seeing these. Demand something else. I can't fucking take it. I didn't see the Avengers because I had no interest in the other films and those guys that they were in, because I've seen them all before. I saw X-Men. I saw Sam Raimi's Spider-Man and Iron Man with its cool performance by Robert Downey Jr. and shitty film around him twice. I saw the new Spider-Man movie. That was like, oh no, there's a lizard man who's gonna make everyone lizards. Thanks. Really? The same plot from like fucking X-Men. And he's a mad scientist. You know, he's a nice guy, but he's a scientist later who's like insane. Like in Spider-Man 2, in its own fucking film series. I mean, Jesus Christ, these are just repeating themselves, and you don't even have to wait like a year probably from now on for fucking reboots. Batman, the new one's gonna come out pretty soon here. Jesus Christ. I don't want to watch a fucking origin story where the guy learns that he has gifts or a ring or fucking frying pans that fire lasers and fucking fight some secondary villain because they're saving the good one for the next film. I hate movies now. Hate movies. Thanks, superheroes. Thanks, nerds. That said, I, like a lot of people, still like Batman Begins and The Dark Knight. The Dark Knight really clicked with people mainly because of the Heath Ledger and what the Joker was in that film. Was it perfect? No, but it worked at connecting with the audience. It worked so well that even if you could poke holes in the film's logic, it hardly mattered because the themes worked. The Dark Knight really hit you, and it deserves the praise as it got as possibly the best superhero movie of the superhero genre, because it has so much to compete against. It's cute, really, you people that thought The Dark Knight Rises sucked. Anyone that was expecting The Dark Knight better than the Joker movie and just like it was always going to be disappointed. As Christopher Nolan himself has pointed out, he gets praised for competence. And while The Dark Knight Rises is honestly his clunkiest film I've ever seen, it's also his most meticulous in terms of payoffs and themes. It succeeds because the care is there, and even if it's not exactly what you expected or as emotionally resonant as you would have thought, it still fucking rocks. First off, the beginning. 8 years later, and Bruce Wayne is a shut-in hermit while Gotham slides into a tranquil state. It's not the exact impact Batman was meant to have, but the sacrifice to the Batman name and the martyring of Harvey Dent has had lasting impacts. The beginning succeeds wonderfully at one thing, making the events of The Dark Knight have a lasting impact on this universe. It's not just the film before it, it fundamentally changed what happened in Gotham. The Dark Knight Rises reminded me of a couple of different ending films to different series, like trilogies. It had a lot in common with Return of the Jedi. It was a bigger, clunkier film than the first Star Wars, and like the first Star Wars, to Return of the Jedi, it had a very similar plot. Star Wars and Return of the Jedi are both about the Death Star, and Batman Begins and Dark Knight Rises are both about the League of Shadows and the plot to destroy Gotham. A better example of a sequel it reminded me of, though, was Toy Story 3. Toy Story 3 is Pixar's fucking masterpiece, an amazing piece of storytelling. A lot of people were just sort of ho-hum about its daycare plot and its villain Lotso, but as far as what was true to the film series' themes and characters, it was amazing. Toy Story was about the importance of being there for your owner. Toy Story 2 was about the open-ended question of life after playtime, and Toy Story 3 tackled that theme and brought it to its ultimate conclusion, moving on, and realizing that what was really the point of these adventures was with you the whole time. The Dark Knight Rises accomplishes something similar. It brings conclusion to the moral grapplings and themes of the series. It might not do this how you wanted, and it doesn't do it for emotional impact, but it does it. There's a reason this movie is 3 hours long, because it's bigger than the other two, and not in terms of budget or spectacle, but in scope. It takes place over months, and while, Batman Begins probably took place over months as he trained and stuff, this is like making the story, the central part of the story, take place over an extremely long period of time. People may have been disappointed in the seemingly simplistic characterization that Bane has compared to the Joker. That's because Nolan wisely avoided the comparison the best he could, by not attempting to top the Joker. Bane was radically different, an unmoving force, a seemingly unrelenting, inhuman beast that's characterization comes suddenly and shockingly. This is also the film in which Bruce Wayne is finally given a true central arc. The title is very accurate. He rises. This is what is so important about the setup of the movie. It would have been easy to dash off the shackles put on the film by the Dark Knight's ending, but the weight of that film permeates this one even if the plotting is similar to Batman Begins. It was an excellent way to bring the two films into the same thematic realm to bring the whole thing to a conclusion. The Dark Knight and Batman Begins are similar looking but very different films. Again, kind of like Star Wars compared to, The Empire Strikes Back. Because they're like radically. Shut up. Okay, now, what's wrong with this film, The Dark Knight Rises? It's clunky, in that it actually feels like another hour was cut to get it down to this length. People might complain about the fusion reactor that's used as a nuclear device, but it worked with the film's themes, and Batman Begins had a silly microwave device that was fine. Anne Hathaway makes an alright Catwoman. She's a little too, cocky, and I didn't completely buy it. And Nolan wisely avoids making her an actual Catwoman, and has her simply cat burglar who has these goggles that when they're up they look like cat ears. It doesn't explain her uncomfortable looking high heels that seem very impractical, but whatevs. The main problem with her is that Selena Kyle is given a pretty standard arc with an expected conclusion. She's the one who only thinks of herself, and eventually she's like, oh, I should help people. At least the reasoning for it's alright. It's supposed to add to the idea that there are the haves and the have-nots in Gotham. Very 99%, that's a little annoying, but there were little thematic things that kind of popped out where you're like, oh, it looks like they're using something topical, and he's putting a conclusion in there, and that was just meh. It's like when you watch a movie and they do something about the environment, and you're like, fuck you, I don't need to be told, I feel bad about it already. Also, the film is pretty un-superhero-y, which I'm not really complaining about. I just ranted about fucking superhero movies. They're just, I'm so over them. But yes, much of what you see in the film could have happened in a movie called Adventure Man, Adventures in the Big City, instead of a Batman film. I don't care, really, but you could bitch about it. So, anyway, Dark Knight Rises is a hard film, and a film that doesn't try overtly to please you. That's why it's good. It, like Toy Story 3, veers away from what you might have expected for a balls-to-the-wall finale and instead focuses on closure. Closure for the film's themes and closure for the characters. So in conclusion, superheroes suck, but The Dark Knight rises above them as a pillar of what good storytelling could be. Fuck you, Spider-Man.